Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is twofold. So I will be discussing this bag. First I'll be discussing having it dyed. I had it dyed to the black color, so I will discuss that first, and then I will do a review of the bag. I'm planning on doing a bunch of bag reviews. Those are going to be my next couple videos. So if you'd like anything else sprinkled in between, or you want a review of a certain bag, please just let me know. Alright, let's get started. So first up, we will discuss the dyeing journey. So this bag used to be this color. I'll actually insert a picture right here. You can also see the color on the tag. We kept that the same color. So the person advertised it as a cement color. I'm not sure if that is Ferragamo's color or not. I did buy this on the pre-loved market. I bought it from Tradesy at a phenomenal price, partially probably because the color was not super duper popular. It probably would have been much more expensive in black, so I was willing to put in a little bit of money to make it what I wanted it to be. So I dyed it from this color, and as you can see from the pictures, it was before I started the YouTube channel that I took this to get dyed. So I took those pictures in the parking lot going to get it dyed because I wanted to have before and after. So sorry that they are not the best. Luckily it was sunny that day. So this is the Ferragamo Bice Tote, and I will talk more about the actual tote after the dyeing process. But when I got the color, I didn't really love it. I thought it was going to be more of a nude, and it really had more of a brown in it. It was more of a taupe kind of color, and that didn't really work so well with my wardrobe. I wear a lot of black, I wear a lot of pink, and I didn't love the taupe with either. I don't really like to mix black and brown. It's a personal preference thing, so I wasn't super into the color, and I just wasn't using it. In fact, I'd never used it. And so I said, okay, I've had this for a couple months, and I'm not grabbing it ever. I'm never reaching for it, so I must do something about that. And I was thinking about selling it, but I was also in the hunt for the perfect black bag. And though this still isn't perfect, it is the best I've got. I may eventually compare this to my Tory Burch York before I sell that, so if you're interested in that, let me know. But they're a similar size, and the biggest differences are the things that drove me the most up the wall, I guess. So I love that this has a full zip, and it's stuffed right now. Sorry. So I wanted something that zipped at the top. Living in Syracuse, it is very snowy, and I didn't really love the idea of just things falling out or being on a bus and my bag was open. So I really did want something that zipped for multiple reasons, especially if I ever use it to travel. The other thing that I really love is that it's fully empty inside. I use a lot of pouches, and I don't like a huge amount of compartments. That is a deal breaker for a lot of people who do like a lot of compartments, I know, so that is something to know. But that's what the bag looks like. So I was thinking, okay, well, what can I do to make this a bag that I would really want? And I looked in, started researching the dyeing process, and it seemed like something that my shoemaker could do. So I went to them and asked, and they said it's not going to be cheap because it is a very large bag and big surface. But I decided it was worth the investment. It cost about $75 to dye it. So it is a big bag, and that is a good chunk of money. But if it's going to make something really usable again, or if you have something that's older and scratched up and you want to get that covered, it is a really good option for that. So now that I've gotten it back, the things that are a little bit different, it is a little bit stiffer. I actually prefer a bag that is a bit stiffer. If this was in Saffiano leather, I'd probably love it even more. So I'm fine with the stiffness, and I have my last bag that I reviewed, which I'll link below, my Mulberry Bayswater. I got that after it had already been professionally dyed, so I had a feeling that I sort of understood what the leather would feel like, and it's a little tougher. It's a little stiffer and tougher, if you can think of those as being two different things. It almost feels a little less leather and a little more plasticky, which again, I know a lot of people don't like, but I do like the stiffness of it. So I was expecting that texture based on the other bag and having felt that bag in person when it had not been dyed before. So that was the first thing. Second thing is they could not dye the zipper inside because that's not leather, the lining color. And so I decided that's totally fine. I don't care that the lining color is a different. In fact, I actually kind of like it. And it is nice to be able to easily access it. So they decided not to dye the little zipper tag either, which again, I'm totally fine with. I actually really like it black with the silver color inside as opposed to the taupe. I think that looks a lot more classy, and also the gold looks great against the black. So that's the only thing that wasn't dyed. I did not have to worry about feet on the bottom of this, but I do know that the mulberry Bayswater does have a little bit of dye that got on the colors of the feet. That wasn't something I needed to worry about with this bag, but that is something to keep in mind. Again, it's the bottom of your bag, so it depends how you feel about that. But otherwise, they did a really great job. There are no places that I can see where it is not fully dyed. He did about 3 coats. He said that the first color was very difficult to get off because it was kind of a rubberized paint. So he had to fully take that color off and get down to a deeper layer of the leather in order to dye it and have that stay nicely. So they did a really great job with that. The only places I can see a little bit of excess dye is like a tiny bit in the lining. I don't know if you can see that right there. And then I saw a little bit inside right here. So a little bit of dye, once it gets on cloth, that it kind of is what it is. That doesn't bother me so much since it's the interior of the bag and there's some kind of tape inside. I guess they were being extra careful with that. So otherwise, I think it looks really great. So the other things to keep in mind with dyeing is that the stiffness, the color might transfer, though they did a really nice job of not getting it on the front gold at all. Some parts may not fully dye. Those are some things to keep in mind. Also, it smells a little bit, right? It is. I just got it back, so it does have a bit of a smell, and I'm going to use it today, and it'll be outside, so it'll air out hopefully a little bit. But the leather worker, shoemaker, also suggested that I wear it with dark colors at first, which is why I'm wearing a black dress, even though it's really nice out today for November in Syracuse. It is really, really warm. So I don't want to get this to color transfer. And he said it's not so much the color transfer, it's that there's oils that they use in the dye. And so those may, until it's been kind of set and really is used for a while, kind of gets all ready to go, those may come out a little bit. And maybe those are colored, I'm not sure. But so that's something to keep in mind. I am not going to wear it with my most precious things for a little while. I will keep airing it out and wearing it every once in a while until I feel like it's really ready to go. So that is it for the dyeing process. I think that there are a lot of benefits if that's something that you are interested in doing. It is a bit of an investment, but I think it really can make an old bag new again and really nice. This is a pebbled leather, so keep that in mind. A pebbled leather, a Saffiano leather, those will take to dye much different than something like a lambskin. If you're going to dye a vintage Chanel, you are going to get some wrinkles in the leather that doesn't really happen with pebbled leather. So this is a much better kind of bag to dye, though those are still absolutely possible. You see dyed Chanel bags all the time. Once the beige gets or white gets a little stained up or hard to use, people do dye them, and that's worth it if you're willing to take the risk on the wrinkling. That's not something that I needed to worry about with this particular bag. So the second part of this video will be a very quick review. I kind of reviewed a little bit as I was going through the dyeing process, but this is the Ferragamo Bice Tote. You can see, hopefully you can see if I stand like this, right? It's a really great size. It fits really nicely under my shoulder. It is not too long that it's hitting my hip and making it difficult to walk. So I do really like the size of this bag. It very easily fits folders and notebooks and everything that I need generally for class. It would fit a laptop if that's something that I wanted it to fit. So size-wise, it is really great. It is also very flexible. So if you like a bag that is malleable to your shape, then this is a really great one for that. It has a pretty good amount of depth. So you don't have to worry about not being able to stuff it. I wouldn't stuff it too much, obviously, but there's a lot of space in there. I have small hands, but almost my whole hand size. So you can really put a lot in this bag, and it's very lightweight, which is always excellent when you're going to be stuffing it. But these handles are also very strong. You can see the stitching in there. It is really reinforced and well done that way, so you don't have to worry about that at all. You can see inside, you can see what the color looked like against the silver a little bit more. But right, that stitching that's on there really well. So that is a nice thing about this bag. I also really like that it's very classic and plain. I like that all you get is this little gold emblem. I don't love this. I mean, it's fine. I guess if you want to make it a little bit smaller and tighter at the top, you can pull it. But that is take it or leave it. For me, it doesn't make any real difference. In fact, most of the time, I'm probably not even going to bother putting it in there when I'm using it day to day. So that's that. But I do love that it's just plain classic black, very easy to wear for work. I don't really like monogram or things that are in your face a little bit. It seems a little less professional. So I do really like that about this tote. And if you can't tell, based on all of the reviews that I'm going to be doing, Ferragamo is one of my absolute go-tos. I really do love them for bags. I think they make really, really high quality bags at a lower price point than a lot of other luxury brands, and also pretty easy to find on the pre-loved market. They are not as popular as something like a Louis Vuitton, so there's less people that you are going against to get it. But they are still really classic, and I fell in love with them on our honeymoon to Florence. So there's something, they just keep every year making styles that I really, really love, and so I think they are going to be sticking around in my closet for a very, very long time. Okay, so this particular tote, back to this, the Bice. That's the outside. There's not really very much to talk about. Shoulder strap is a really good length. I already said that. The inside is really quite nice and roomy, though it does have this back pocket. This looks kind of like it might come off, but it doesn't. It does need to stay in there. It's a good sized pouch. You can fit a good amount of stuff inside of it. So that's nice to have. You could also, though, still, if you had like a folder you wanted to put behind it, you could easily do that because it's not attached at the bottom. So it is easy to move that way. I guess this is leather inside. I think it's fully leather. I mean, the tabs are definitely leather. They're the other parts of the strap. So I believe it is fully leather. It feels like it's leather, but it is this silvery color, so you don't see that a ton in leather, though it really does feel like it is. So I think it is. One thing I don't super love is, if you can see the bottom, it's got a cloth on here, and I know that that's to protect the leather, so it's not going to come apart, but it does kind of look a little cheaper maybe than if it was just a very clean seam. So that's not something that I super love, but I will link to some of these on the pre-loved market, and there's not really a great option, I don't believe, but I will find whatever's the closest comparison in the actual current retail stock. So we'll see what we can find that way. It is only a couple years old, so you can find them on the pre-loved market. People are getting rid of them every once in a while. The Gavina tote is a similar tote. It's just smaller, and the straps are a little bit thicker, so if that's something that's more interesting to you, that one is a good option as well. But this is the Bice tote. I can talk about it more after I've worn it. I haven't worn it yet, so I may feel different about it later in the future. But I do really love it, and my next black bag, I don't mind having this one's so big, I kind of might want a smaller one for days when I'm really only carrying a tiny bit of stuff to work. And I'm looking to get that in a Saffiano leather, so I have my eye on the Becky, which is the large double ganchillo tote, and or the Brianna from a few years ago. So I have my eye on those. Those may add to my collection as well. But this one I think is going to be a really nice option, and I was able to get it for a really good price, even including the dyeing. It was still under my 20% of the retail value. So that's usually my goal on the pre-loved market. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to do an update video later on. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you continue to watch the rest of my reviews as they are coming up. Let me know if you have any specific questions that I'm not addressing that you might want to know. If you like the video, please give it a like, and please subscribe to see my future content. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.